time for the main event. It's the Shoe Shine.
¿Qué onda, vatos locos? Damas y caballeros, it's your boy Dave in the 702 coming back at you for that Monday boxing recap known as the Shoe Shine. Joining me all the way from the city of brotherly love, Philly Irish, Drew Evo. Que pasa, homie?
What's up, Dave?
What's good, Drew? Good to have you, man. Philadelphia is going to be... Yo, things are looking up in the city of Philadelphia. I had just confirmed Danny Garcia Promotions debuts this weekend. They got a good-looking Italian fighter on that card I saw. And I'm wondering, is Drew Evo going to go to see the Danny Garcia card?
Nah.
All right, man, but that things are shaping up. And we got some news on the Boots Ennis front because of the... I can't believe it, Drew, but Boots Ennis Crowley, as much as I wanted to see Crowley fight him, he came down with he has a serious eye issue, right?
Yep.
Hey, shout out to my boy Chicano Prophet who's joining us, who had one of the best interviews I've ever seen with Cody Crowley. Truly a remarkable young man. And unfortunately, he's not going to get that payday that I think he rightfully deserves. So shout out to Chicano and everybody just joining us. As you come into the show, man, we would appreciate it if you hit that like button so it gets shared with everybody. Let everybody know that the Shoe Shine is on right now, Drew, with lots and lots to talk about because I wanted to do a second show last week. Things didn't pan out that way. You know, that's just how life goes, guys. And as a matter of fact, I'm having a hard time, Drew, with the heat in Las Vegas. My second summer year in Las Vegas, Drew, and they say I got off the hook last year, Drew. There is no day this June that is going to be under 100 degrees. In fact, this Wednesday, I should be going to the PBC live media workout at the MGM Grand to check out, of course, all the activities. Tank Davis fight week. David Benavidez, the Mexican monster, is back. And it should be 109 degrees on Wednesday. So if you're coming to Las Vegas this weekend, everybody make sure you stay hydrated. If you're going to get drunk, which you are, make sure you drink water too, because believe me, the heat is going to knock your ass out. That being said, I want to talk about some great knockouts. What a way to start Wednesday of last week, Drew. I'm not sure if you caught this, but on Pro Box TV, you know, the thing with Paulie and Bradley and our friend Lukey Boxing writes for them. This guy from Stockton, California, Vladimir Hernandez, who I've seen fight. You guys are probably going to remember Vladimir Hernandez from Stockton, California, from the 209 as the guy who got knocked out by Jesus Ramos Jr. in Las Vegas once upon a time in 2022. Vladimir Hernandez came on to Pro Box last Wednesday as a last-minute replacement. This guy is a southpaw that can crack. Guys, I know he was knocked out by Jesus Ramos Jr., but he beat J. Rock Williams from Philadelphia, Drew. Julian Williams, he also beat a washed-up Perro Angulo. He's got some remarkable wins. This journeyman from Stockton can crack, Drew. And he was fighting a Guido Schramm as a last-minute replacement. This guy, Guido Schramm, is supposed to be something special. And, well, you know how it goes, man, when you're the spoiler. Knockout of the year contender on Pro Box. Yeah, another one, man. Vladimir Hernandez from Stockton, California. Shout out to him from the 209 for having another sensational, not supposed to happen, but, hey, man, this is one of those hardworking journeymen. Anything can happen when you step into the ring with a guy like Vladimir Hernandez. Again, Drew, got knocked out by Jesus Ramos Jr., but he's got some big wins over former champions. This is a guy that you can't take lightly. And that guy Guido got way too comfortable, and that's how it panned out. So shout out to Pro Box for putting on another great Wednesday night card, Drew. That leads us to, well, I got some breaking news, Drew. Not sure if you heard this, but last week, Ryan Garcia, he was talking about there was going to be an earthquake in Las Vegas or Los Angeles. And everybody went crazy because Ryan thinks he's, you know what I'm saying? He thinks he's some kind of psychic. But did he predict he was going to get arrested? Dog. I mean, yeah, we've been following his PED case. Of course, the hearing hasn't happened. And now Ryan Garcia is going to have to probably go into a California courtroom for a real criminal hearing, Drew. Vandalism, felony vandalism at a 5-star Beverly Hills hotel. Felony vandalism, Drew. That means he destroyed thousands and thousands of dollars of property to the hotel, and he was let out. The security came and was like, "We need to see the room." Everybody's saying that you're having a party up there, and sure enough, the room was wrecked like the movie Hangover. So unfortunately, he now has a criminal date ahead of him. But speaking on Ryan Garcia, this is directly related to some other very interesting upcoming Stockton fights. Drew, I don't know if you caught the melee. Nate Diaz is fighting Jorge Masvidal, and there's some real boxers on that card. Sugar Shane Mosley Jr. will be the co-main. Also, Amado Vargas, the son of the world famous Fernando Ferros Vargas, the son, not Emiliano, Amado. He's fighting on that card, and I talked about it. Drew, he's fighting Ryan Garcia's brother. And last week at the press conference in Los Angeles, lots of people showed up. It was outdoors. The biggest melee I've seen that and also involved a famous Las Vegas boxing coach, Capetillo Boxing. He's very well respected, home of many former world champions, Capetillo's Boxing. He was in the melee throwing hands, Drew. Who wasn't there? Because Amado Vargas and Fernando Vargas showed up. Is Ryan Garcia and his brother, Sean. Sean Garcia, who's supposed to fight Amado, was the only no-show at the press conference. Interesting enough, Sean Garcia was with his brother at that Beverly Hills room the night before he was arrested. So you could be there to party with your brother and wreck rooms and wreck shop, but you can't show up to your own press conference. And you guys, I just don't get it, Drew. Like, you're not Ryan. You know what I mean? Like, Sean Garcia is not Ryan. Just like Amado, unfortunately, didn't get the top rank. He showed up, man. He's taking this shit serious. This is his life. I don't know what's going on, bro. I'm just keeping it real, man. Ryan Garcia and his brother, Sean, did not show up to that press conference. But if you did not catch that press conference, go on YouTube and look it up, because that melee was wild. Shout out to Nerd Chicano Prophet joining us. I appreciate that. Drew, your thoughts on Ryan Garcia? He's a rock star now.
Dude needs help.
Yes, dude needs help, man.
Help.
I guess, let's be real. He's spiraling. He's kind of spiraling. Well, I'll keep you guys up to date. Obviously, the hearing a lot more information about the hearing will be coming up. Yeah, shout out to Card Shop Reality. Thank you for joining us. He says, I'm a Ryan who can party and show up to the press conference. Okay, yeah. You could still, he's the type of guy that will party, but still get the work done and show up to that press conference. Exactly. Thanks for joining us, Card Shop Reality. Drew, there's a really good feel-good story. He comes out of Philadelphia. We've talked about him. Blair, the Flair, woo! Fighting Adrien Broner, the return of the Can Man in Florida. And you guys, if you guys don't know, man, Blair the Flair Cobbs went from being a Philadelphia kid whose father, this needs to be a movie. Netflix, why haven't you guys picked up on it? Drew, his dad was a trafficker, a pilot, just like the movie Blow. He crashed his plane, all right, with thousands of dollars of cocaine. He runs from the plane crash, flees to Mexico while FBI was on his dad's ass. He takes the whole family to Guadalajara, Mexico, where Blair the Flair Cobbs, a mixed kid, obviously, right, has no choice but to fight, but to learn how to fight. He's a half-black mixed kid living in Guadalajara. He had no choice but to learn how to fight. And in fight he did in the mean streets and in the gyms of Guadalajara. From that, he returns to Philadelphia in his early teens, trying to become a professional boxer, but it's getting no love in your city of Philadelphia from the local boxing gyms. They say, maybe you're not cut out for it. He tries moving desperately to Las Vegas, where he apparently worked as a security guard on the casino floors of Las Vegas on the Strip while trying to get a contract to fight as a professional fighter, Drew. And this is the biggest moment of his life, from living in a car in Las Vegas to working on the Strip to beating a 4-division champion and Adrien Broner. Drew, take over. You got to talk to me about this Friday fight, because it's the biggest win of his life. But what the hell does it mean for both of these guys?
I don't know, man. The Adrien Broner is somebody that is known for not really letting his hands go and everything. You would think that dude's down on the cards by a lot, in like Madonna fight and the dude or Pacquiao fight, and you don't think the dude's gonna let his hands go, and he doesn't let his hands go. He just does that the whole time and everything, and then thinks that, and then after that, he takes this fight against Blair Cobbs. Blair Cobbs knocks him down it's like a good counter shot in the second. Knocks him down, gets up. I guess he loses his tooth and everything. Surprised I'm gonna be honest with you, I thought they were gonna stop it. And fight went on. He turned up a little bit at the end, but the dude does not let his hands go. And the question is, why do you not let your hands go? Like do you think you're not Floyd? You're nowhere near Floyd Mayweather. Like, you're very hittable. And I look at it like this, he clearly lost on those cards. Like, I only had him winning maybe 3 rounds at most, 2. And everything. Adrien Broner's done. Adrien Broner should retire because I just don't see him being a gatekeeper for anybody, because, to tell you the truth, he's not a gatekeeper that's going to be out to spoil somebody and everything, because he doesn't let his hands go. And if you don't let your hands go, where's that sense of urgency at? Doesn't have any. So, if I were him, I'd retire, man. You just don't have it or want it anymore.
Drew, he made a statement on his Instagram today. God sent me a message, and I see he isn't done with me. I've been doing things the wrong way and tarnishing all the blessings and chances that have been given me. I've made up my mind, and I'm taking full advantage of this opportunity he's given me today. I see everything more clear, and I have a better understanding with myself. The problem will be back soon. No retirement for AB, Drew. But let's be real about his situation, Drew. He's had multiple children with multiple women. The child support alone and the squandering, Drew. We talk about a guy that lived reckless during the height of his career. He really did literally blow his money away. And now you got all those payments with child support and baby mamas, and he has no choice but to keep fighting. How bad was this ass whooping? Guys, if you did not watch the ass whooping, go and look for the clips, the highlight clips, because obviously we'll catch a copyright on this. But Adrien Broner lost his freaking front tooth, Drew. I mean, this ain't no cap. Yes, he's not fighting a bum fights, but that would be hilarious. But Blair Cobbs hit him so hard with his left hand, and Blair hit him with the shot that he dropped him with in the second round. I got to give him props for that, Drew. If you watch that, he torqued everything he had. That's the second time only in the career of Adrien Broner that he's been down. Shout out to that SS Spider. Gracias for showing up today to the live chat. Appreciate you, homie. That was a good shot, Blair Cobbs. And I honestly thought, if Blair Cobbs had that next gear, and he was in tremendous shape for the fight, but he wasn't able to put out Adrien Broner. I mean, Adrien Broner still has a damn good chin.
Like, I look at it like this, man. I don't understand with Adrien Broner. Like, you're with Don King now, and Don King, like, it just shows you're not going to make much money off his fights and everything. Like, I wonder how much Adrien Broner got paid for this fight.
Man, I was on the round table earlier. Shout out to Joe Habib. And he said, I hope they get their paychecks. Literally, I did remember seeing way back when AB signed with Don that he had a cash advance and he was showing off all this cash. But, hey, a lot of that live gate, how many people showed up to fight to the fight at the Hard Rock in Florida? And also, how many people bought the fight? Oh man, this is just one of those fights that people probably were streaming illegally, if that's how you saw it. You know what I'm saying? So there's not much money to be made for Blair. Flair, I hope he gets paid soon, man. The brother needs a paycheck. He's been out of the ring for 2 years. By the way, Drew, remember, after he got his ass whooped by Rocha, everything went south with him and Oscar De La Hoya, and he was let go by Golden Boy. He is basically an independent contractor. So where does Blair the Flair Cobbs go from here? He had one of the best post-fight speeches. He was obviously very excited. The best moment of his life, beating a four-time four-division champion. Where does Blair the Flair go, man? At welterweight, he's not the biggest, strongest guy. He's been known to, when he gets hurt, things go really bad for him. Specifically, that Rocha fight. We can all remember the Rocha fight. Does he get a crack at somebody? People are talking about maybe he should get a crack at Boots, because Boots needs a dance partner soon. Nobody wants to fight Boots, it seems.
I don't know. I look at it like this, Dave, like it seems Bernard is still behind him because he likes his posts on Instagram and everything. And like, I really got to look at it that who would give this dude a chance and everything? Like, who would give this dude a chance to give him a promotional contract and everything? If Oscar dropped him for losing the Rocha the way he did, like, I don't know. Like, he's got to be more active. But like, people gotta look at it like this. You gotta realize this dude's ceiling and everything. He's not gonna be a world champion. He may be that guy you just gonna put in the wing and everything against one of your top guys to get his ass kicked real quick. But he has one loss. But they seem that he doesn't have the right skill to be a contender, because not a lot of people view him as a contender. Like, he does have like a couple of quality wins, like Booker and
Maurice Booker, the former world champion.
A washed up Adrien Broner and everything, which is his biggest win and everything. But other than that, there's not really much you can look at when it comes to Blair Cobbs and everything. You gotta look at it that you gotta know what you're investing in when it comes to Blair Cobbs and everything. Like, you don't have a champion here. You might just have someone you can put in the way with one of your top guys and everything.
Well, we got somebody commenting here. Drew, we got Nerd saying that that's a perfect fight for Ryan Garcia. I did see Ryan Garcia's statement that I already knocked your ass out, Blair. And obviously for Blair the Flair, that'd be the biggest payday of his life.
Guess what, drink. Blair
can let his hands go, guys. That's one thing I appreciate Blair. He did box quite beautifully. He did show some power that we haven't seen in dropping Adrien Broner, who's been in there with some big punchers. Blair Cobbs reminds me of T.I. He's a colorful character, obviously, and he did show some power in dropping, a washed-up Adrien Broner. But Adrien Broner's only been down by Marcos Maidana, and that was at the peak of Marcos Maidana's career. I do think it's a good opportunity for Ryan Garcia. Blair the Flair is very entertaining. He can talk trash. He's very good at leading up in fights and whatnot and promotions. It's also a legitimate welterweight who has, like we said, he's got a couple of big wins over former champions and Maurice Hooker and now Adrien Broner. He's a free agent, but will he do business with Oscar De La Hoya, who just got rid of him? Yeah, man, that's kind of a hard choice. I think he'd have an easier time going across the aisle over there to DAZN and maybe trying to work something out with the Conor Benn, which is a huge name in the UK, obviously, or anybody else they got over there. Really, to be for him, I really hope Adrien for Blair the Flair, who I'm kind of fond of. I hope he gets an opportunity out of this, a big money opportunity, obviously, but. We got to remember him. Alexis Rocha beat the crap out of him. And Alexis Rocha got the crap beat out of him by Santillan of San Diego recently. And Santillan was just recently destroyed in his first title opportunity for interim title at welterweight by a guy named Brian Norman. Brian Norman this weekend was interviewed. If you guys were going to move on to that shortly, the Top Rank card, but Brian Norman said he wasn't ready for Boots Ennis. So even though he's a world champion, he self-admitted he's not ready for Drew's Philadelphia fighter in Boots Ennis. So who is? Apparently Blair the Flair has turned down an offer prior to fight Boots Ennis. Something that I don't have a fact if it was $400K, but I was told that on the round table today. That's pretty good money. And if you're not with the promotional company right now, I would jump on that. I would jump on that $400,000. Get yourself a nice little condominium and a place to stay here in Las Vegas, guys. All right, I'm going to answer this question from Wiley Coyote. He's asking me, how do I feel about that Diaz Masvidal fight, guys? So I did catch the melee. I did see the press conference that was held here in Las Vegas at the Resorts World International. So far, the fight was postponed. But it was postponed for good reason because it seemed to be that on that specific date, there was already a major event. And everything as far as promotion-wise is going really well with the exception of that melee. But sometimes those melees draw attention to ticket sales. They'll actually boost those ticket sales. So I think they're doing really good in the lead up to that fight, promoting that fight. People are knowing about this fight. Is it going to be a great fight? Well, both of these guys are kind of at the tail end of their mixed martial arts career. They're in their late 30s. They do have a deep rivalry. This is a boxing match. Nate Diaz somewhat entertained us and gave us an entertaining fight against Jake Paul when he fought Jake Paul strictly as a boxer. So, and Nate Diaz has a long history here in the Bay Area of working out with the, Hall of Fame Andre Ward. He's had boxing coaches in the Bay Area. So I expect Nate Diaz to beat Masvidal, man. But I think that whole card is going to be more entertaining than people will give it credit for. Marv Nation is involved, as I mentioned. They represent Amato, and you have Sugar Shane Mosley's son. That fight might be pretty good. Shout out to my boy Lukey Boxing. Appreciate you. No, God, Lukey, I'm gonna holler at you. I got your number. I have not restored the phone line. And everybody make sure you follow my boy Lukey Boxing on YouTube here. Drew is back in the building, Drew. We're going to get on to this fight. We talked about Blair the Flair, who Lukey had a chance to interview. I remember seeing Blair the Flair in January at the Virgin Hotel when Virgil Ortiz fought. And he told me, I got something big. Woo! He said, I got something big. And we now know what it is, Drew. It's not the end of AB. AB says it's not the end for him. He's not retiring, so we will see him. Most likely not on this, but on another Dawn card fight. Drew, I didn't ask you. I was talking to the guys about mixed martial arts. We got Nate Diaz is going to be fighting Masvidal to be the main event in a boxing match, but Savannah Marshall, kind of a nemesis of the GOAT female boxer, Clarissa Shields. Clarissa Shields went to go check out her debut in MMA against a pretty badass Brazilian woman fighter. That fight was pretty damn good. I haven't been watching mixed martial art in a long time, but Savannah Marshall, dog. This Brazilian woman took every shot and still didn't go down. To come out of that, did you see that? The Brazilian was able to take down Savannah Marshall. Savannah Marshall worked her way back up out of that and just went to town and showed a boxing clinic on her face. And the Brazilian girl didn't go down. To give her some credit, it was very exciting. Even Clarissa Shields had to stand up and applaud.
So who won? I didn't even watch it. Who won?
Savannah Marshall. Savannah Marshall in a very impressive fashion. Yeah, I mean, to escape what she was, I have to give her credit. And that leads me to believe that we could someday see Clarissa Shields in a mixed martial arts match against Savannah Marshall.
You know what? I look at it like this, like, Dave, I haven't really told you what one of my type of dream fantasy jobs I want to be one day.
All right, let's hear it.
I kind of want to be a promoter.
Doesn't that sound
for
fun?
some reason. And everything, like a boxing promotion for some reason, and everything. But I look at it like this: that you gotta know the business inside out, and you gotta know like your like the fighters that you signed and everything, like how you evaluate them. Like, do you view them as a future world champion? Does you view them as a contender? Or just that guy you just want to put in there to make you guys look good?
Yeah, and your boy Danny Garcia is going to be debuting this week. I'm very excited to see what he could do. I was just mentioning this, guys. Usually we talk about this coming up at the end of the thing, so I'll look for the graph. Oh, actually, no, I got it right here. The Tale of Garcia, Season 1, Saturday, June 15th. And, of course, Sonny Cotto is an Italian-American heavyweight prospect that I've been keeping my eye on.
From South Philly.
Yeah, from South Philly. So it's going to be Atlantic City. Drew, I wish I could have sent you there, guys. So I'm not sure how we'll be able to watch this, but I'm wishing Danny Garcia all the best of luck. We will be talking about Liam Paro versus Subriel Matias. Drew, because it was brought up today on the roundtable when Danny Garcia went to Puerto Rico to have his homecoming and how he escaped with a gifted decision against Herrera. But of course, Subriel Matias going back to Puerto Rico, Danny Matias is Puerto Rican. He's a real Puerto Rican. But Subriel Matias was raised and born in Puerto Rico. So I think it's going to be quite different. So that brings us to Puerto Rican Day Parade Festival weekend. Drew, today, guys, is historically a very interesting day. A fight I will never, ever forget. Sorry to blur your face here, Drew. Today is the anniversary of Miguel Cotto at Madison Square Garden versus Paulie, the Magic Man Malignaggi. And look who was on that card, guys. Shit, can't believe it. Look who else was on that card. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. was on that card. Drew, how do you remember that fight, man? Miguel Cotto versus Malignaggi, because everybody wants to know if Xander Zayas is our next Miguel Cotto. He gave us a little inkling of that this weekend, but man, Miguel Cotto versus Paulie Malignaggi, I'll never forget that fight. What was your impression?
I watched that fight. When I watched the fight live and everything, man, like Miguel was a devastating body puncher. He was known to be a devastating body puncher back then. And like Paulie really had nothing to give Miguel after a couple rounds, because Miguel just went to town on him. And like I like that was one of the first beatings you see Paulie took. And it wound up. I think he won. Didn't he? I think he won that fight by TKO, Miguel, and Cotto and everything. Paulie took a beating that night, and I like. It was like the body shots were coming, and then Miguel just started going ham on him. And Paulie, not known for his power, just known for his boxing and everything. Like. Him not having power really took effect because he couldn't keep Miguel Cotto off of him. And like it became one-sided after a while, And that would be like one of the stepping stones, one of the big wins of Miguel Cotto's career and everything. And then, Paulie will probably think he'd move next to getting a fight with Ricky Hatton.
A fight where he actually took another beating, unfortunately, in that fight.
He took another beating from Ricky Hatton and everything. And I think it would have been I thought it was a better fight for Paulie to fight Ricky Hatton if he would have kept moving. But he let Hatton fight his fight against him and everything. Like I always told people, don't you ever wonder if Paulie Malignaggi at least had power?
Oh,
what kind of record he would have had? Like, Paulie Malignaggi would have lost at least 1 or 2 fights.
Well, we bring up Paulie. I'm glad you were bringing up Paulie, guys, because we just brought up Adrien Broner at the beginning of this fight, and one of the best fights of Paulie Malignaggi's career, where he was robbed, where he didn't get the nod. One of them included the Texas fighter. You guys remember what was the name of him? He went by. Help me out in the chat, guys. The Texas fighter, baby Bull Diaz. That he didn't get the nod.
Oh, why baby Bull Diaz? Yeah.
He did not get the nod correctly, and he also didn't get the nod correctly in the Adrien Broner fight, where Adrien Broner took his 147-pound championship. Adrien Broner had a history of
both fights.
He had a history of picking up the easiest belts along the path. But let's go back to that fight, guys, on Puerto Rican Day Parade many moons ago at the height of Paulie Malignaggi's career, guys, and why that fight was important for both Miguel Cotto and Paulie Malignaggi. For one thing, it cemented Miguel Cotto as the Puerto Rican star of the day that was going to basically have the holiday, the Puerto Rican Day Parade weekend in New York City. It's basically Cinco de Mayo in Las Vegas. It's basically Mexican Independence Day in Las Vegas. He was the de facto star. Not only could he box, but he could wreck shop. And why people, to have Paulie, who was a Brooklyn-born fighter, on that card also, show the amount of heart and grit he had to fight through a broken orbital bone. Guys, in that fight, Paulie broke his orbital bone, and there was no quit. There just was no quit. Outgunned, broken orbital bone, he didn't quit, which is what made him, in his day, a favorite to a lot of people, a real fighter. I was a big fan of him, even though he got destroyed in that Miguel Cotto fight. It showed us what type of fighter he was and what type of champion he was. And he still went on to become, like we said, a 2-division champion. And Miguel Cotto went on to become a multiple. I was just thinking about it today, man. Miguel Cotto fought Canelo Alvarez.
I'll look at it like this, Dave. Like, I don't see Miguel Cotto as Xander Zayas. I see more Tito Trinidad and Zayas and everything. Like, if you're going to see somebody, if you're going to compare him to a Puerto Rican fighter, it's more Tito Trinidad than Miguel Cotto. Like, he has more of a Tito Trinidad stance than a Miguel Cotto stance. He fights more like Tito Trinidad than Miguel Cotto. So, the people comparing him, he's way more Tito Trinidad. So,
hey guys, don't forget to hit that like button. Let's get to 30 likes. And shout out to Chicano Prophet says, didn't Paulie get a gift against, who was it? Cano? Cesar Cano? Pablo Cano? I was at that fight in Las Vegas, guys. He did get a gift, but that's just how the business goes. Sometimes if you fight long enough, things go your way, and sometimes they don't. And ironically, Cano just fought on Pro Box. Luki was in here. He fought like 6 months ago and came away with one of the most impressive knockouts I've seen on Pro Box. And he ended up getting a big fight opportunity off of that, only to come up way short. You know what I'm saying? So Cano, shout out to Cano, who's still fighting. Damn. Still a big puncher and managed to get a big payday recently. So that brings us to Puerto Rican Day Parade, Drew, and whether or not the argument is Xander ready to take over that mantle with the performance. Let's run it back, Drew. Let's talk about it. It overwhelmingly swept all the rounds, beat Teixeira of Brazil, the former WBO, I believe he was the WBO junior middleweight champion of the world, who had an incredible win over Carlos Adames, Carlos Adames is currently the WBC middleweight champion. Teixeira was no bum. He came before Castaño, who Castaño's also kind of not been around lately, Drew. But a southpaw that can move, and he had to move to escape all the punishment that was coming his way. So why are we being critical of Xander? Why is the social media not giving him an A? I'll ask you, Drew, and I'll give you my opinion why he wasn't given an A for this performance.
I think people are just trying to figure out a way how to downgrade his performance. Like, yeah, I realize the kid's 18 years old and everything. The way he's being developed is somewhat conservative because how old he is. They don't want him up there too soon at his age and everything. This was the first big step up and everything. And he barely dominated the dude. dominated a former world champion. I don't see what's the problem and everything. Like I really see like I don't have no problem with the way he fought Teixeira. He dominated him, and tell you the truth, you got rounds in, and you got to look at it as this is what you wanted to see out of him fighting a former world champion and everything. And he's beaten, and this dude is the only sole loss on a actual champion's record and everything. So I have no issue with his performance and everything. He's an 18-year-old kid. He's going to grow from it, and I think people need to like really pump the brakes. This kid's 18.
Oh, Xander's actually, I know time has flown, Drew. We've been doing the podcast here for a few years now on YouTube. Actually, when we started, he was 18. He's now 21. But I think
21. He's 21 now. Like
even
he's still young.
Yeah, even the average age of most world champions falls right around 23. So I think Top Rank, I've been critical of how slow they were developing him as far as like 6-rounders, 8. Finally, he's on a 10-rounder, and he goes all 10 rounds. I'm just straight up, I'll give him a B, man. There was a lot of things I liked about Xander this past weekend. First of all, guys, he can mix it up, give you different looks, attack the body and the head without being predictable at all. He did try to make some adjustments, and in the later rounds, he was really trying to go for that knockout. But Teixeira, as crafty as he is and as being as mobile, his legs are in damn good shape. He wasn't sitting around to get whacked. He really was trying to avoid most of the punishment and not engage. In the rounds that he did engage, I think Xander took his best shots. Obviously, it was nothing to be too worried about. So I give him a solid B. You're not going to just knock out a crafty veteran that is a former world champion, who still has some massive wins on his thing. Of course, Puerto Rican Day Parade, national television, ESPN. You would love to see the de facto new star you're pushing get a knockout. Of course, we'd love to see that. But it's not going to happen. It's not like Xander Zayas is going to knock out Virgil Ortiz, Tim Tszyu. He may not even knock out Fundora that only Brian Mendoza was able to. We're talking about one of the hottest divisions right now is this junior middleweight division with stars, tons of stars everywhere you look, former stars in Charlo. Where does Xander Zayas go next, Drew? Who do you? Because today I just brought up a kid that lost to Jesus Ramos Jr. Jesus Ramos Jr. knocked him out. Stockton, California's Vladimir Hernandez, who just has a massive knockout. He's a promotional free agent. That's a guy that I wouldn't mind seeing Xander Zayas against, because Teixeira was a southpaw. And if you heard the broadcast, they kept saying he really hasn't fought many southpaws. You beat a guy like, not Castano. Castano would be a great opponent. But this guy, Vladimir Hernandez out of Stockton, you beat him better than Jesus Ramos Jr. did. Now we're starting to talk about him mixing it up with his current young contenders, like Lubin, like Ramos Jr., even Vito Malignaggi just signed with Top Rank. Shout out to all the PBC fighters leaving PBC to go elsewhere. Vito Malignaggi, also a very young 154-pound fighter. What do you think about those fights?
I even put him in there with Spencer. What's that guy's name? The guy that got
Spencer. What happened to Spencer?
The guy that got his ass kicked by Ramos.
Yeah. I don't know if PBC released him. I haven't seen or heard much of him, but yeah, any of those young guys. It seems to be the consensus is that Xander Zayas is not ready to fight for a world title. Duh. Okay, there's no problem with that. I mean, he's 21. You don't want to put him in there to lose when he's not ready. But things are shaping up quickly, guys, because, for instance, Virgil Ortiz has only had 2 fights at 154. I was at the first one this January in Las Vegas that lasted 1 round. But he's getting that WBC interim title opportunity, it appears, guys. I want to know your thoughts, Drew. Bohacek, the guy that destroyed Mendoza, was it Brian Mendoza, on the Tim Tszyu card? It looks like that's the replacement for Virgil Ortiz versus Tim Tszyu. Tim Tszyu can't fight. And it's going to be for a title opportunity, an interim title. I love it.
But they're not fighting on that August 3rd card.
So it's not going to be then. They're going to have to move the date. Is that what you heard?
Like it's not they moved Vulture completely off the card, which I don't understand why.
Is it to give these two guys enough time to train, or they're going to be the main event? Because it is a title opportunity. Tim Tszyu versus Fundora was a main event for PBC. This has main event written all over it.
I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be Golden Boy promoting it or it's going to be Turkish promoting it.
So this could fall very well in Saudi Arabia for all we know.
Maybe, but like I look at it like this, you know, Xander is probably not going to fight for a title for at least another year or two and everything. So, like, I just you can't worry about Xander with a title right now. Like, the thing is that now when it comes to Verger is, yeah, he's fighting. This is probably might be the best opponent he's going to have in his career so far.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you right there, Drew. His resume at welterweight wasn't that great. A lot of journeymen, a lot of washed-up fighters, a lot like Conor Benn, and at junior middleweight, trash. I'm sorry. Trash opponents, nobody of notable mark. Bohacek absolutely is the best name on his resume, and it's going to be a tough fight, man. I like this fight a lot. I'm happy to see it because it means something. There's a WBC interim title, and that means that once Terrence Bud Crawford is a champion, you get a shot at Terrence Crawford if you want, or you get a shot at the Towering Inferno Fundora when Fundora's done with his business.
But Dave, I got to bring something up with you. Did you hear what Lubin said about Fundora? Said that Fundora's had stuff in his gloves. Samson knew about it, and when he fought Fundora. You heard about that?
No, I didn't hear about that.
He accused Fundora of having stuff in his gloves when they fought.
Man, come on now, guys. That is the nicest kid there is, Fundora. Oh man, that's all bullshit, man. Angel says Crawford versus Canelo. What do you guys think, Drew? You think it's gonna happen?
No.
Really don't think so? Like, not no, even next year?
Not. Nah, and I'll be honest with you, Dave. I like tell you the truth. Nah, I want to see those other fights I would ever see. Like why do you want to see a guy move up two or three weight classes to fight Canelo?
It's a novelty. It's a novelty, guys. Terrence Bud Crawford could arguably be the best fighter of our current generation. He could end up being one of the greatest fighters of all boxing history. Is he ready to fight Canelo? Not at all. I mean, he's massively undersized. It's a shit show in my opinion. But I do see a path for it, Drew, because I think right now there's that Terrence Bud Crawford, if he concentrates, he can make $5 to $10 million per fight in his next two fights. Move up the middleweight by 2025 next year. Move up the middleweight. And then, you know what? Maybe he can negotiate a catch weight or something that would make it more intriguing with nothing on the line.
Here's the thing.
He can go from 154, fight Carlos Adames next year, maybe fight Janabek, pick up one of these, maybe beat the crap out of a 40-year-old Lara and get a title, and then negotiate somewhere between 160 and 168 and see if he has any pull. Can he get Canelo to make some concessions?
It's like this. There's rumors that Canelo turned down a lucrative offer to fight Crawford. He said, I don't get no credit for beating Crawford. Why would I fight a guy I get no credit for beating?
Well, he didn't get any credit. You're right. He didn't get any credit for beating Charlo, who was 154.
I'm going to tell you what's going to happen, Dave. He's going to move up to 175. He hasn't, tell you the truth, there's really no path left for Canelo at 168 because he's going to be forced into these mandatories and can tell you he's not going to make the money against these mandatories. So what happens? You move to 175. You force your way into the winner of that undisputed fight and everything. Fight the winner of that fight. Or oh, you wind up finally having that Benavidez fight and everything. Like, I just don't see him. I just don't see him staying at 168, and I don't see him fighting Crawford. I see him up to 175 to finish his career. I just like. I that's where the big money fights are at, 175 for Canelo now.
It is true.
You will make money off a rematch with Bivol if you can get that rematch. You will make money off of a Benavidez fight or a Miguel fight. Or even fucking if Benavidez wins that undisputed fight.
Hey Drew, today I was thinking on the roundtable. I just want to know what you guys in the chat think. But in Canelo's situation with so many of the big names from 168 moving up, I'm talking David Benavidez, David Morrell, the more threatening names. The welterweight division, Drew, Boots is kind of having the same problem. Like, everybody at 147 seems like they're not a threat to Boots if they want to try to unify. In the same sense, I feel like Canelo's just going to have to wait for fighters to emerge from 154 and 160 to move up. People that look really, really good, like Virgil Ortiz should be a middleweight at any moment. And then Virgil Ortiz versus Canelo seems plausible. Or, anybody else moving up to 160. And then things just become a little bit more plausible. Like Canelo really doesn't have any big names. He's going to have to, at some point, either move up, like you say, or just sit around and wait until these other fighters grow into the weight class, either middleweight and eventually junior middleweight. Perfect example of that is Hamza Shiraz? Like, wait till that dude becomes a super middleweight. That guy's a beast in the making, and he's tall. He could be the next David Benavidez of 168. Same thing is going on in 140, guys, and I'm going to bring up this next because it's time to segue into fights of the weekend, guys. This one is a banger you are not going to want to miss. 140-pound division is lit. You got 4 world champions. You got Devin Haney retaining his belt after getting his ass whooped. You got the little Mexican Pitbull Cruz. Then you have the Puerto Rican star that I'm bringing up right now, which one of my favorite fighters is Matias, a wrecking machine. And Paro from Australia only got this opportunity because he beat the crap out of, what is that guy, Love? What was his name? Montana Love. And here we are in Puerto Rico after Puerto Rican Day Parade Festival. It's time for him. By the way, the other 140-pound champion, New Yorker. You guys may have heard of him. What's his name? Teofimo? Yeah, I think you guys heard of him. Obviously, that would be the biggest fight I think Matias could get would probably be a fight in New York City at the Garden against top-ranked fighter and Teofimo Lopez. But he's got to get past Paro, a very tough Australian who wasn't supposed to beat Montana Love, Drew. And I got to ask you, today they were bringing up Danny Garcia went to Puerto Rico and had to get a gift decision back in the day. But Matias, he's a real Puerto Rican for real. I mean, he was born in Puerto Rico. Danny Garcia is Puerto Rican, but he don't even speak Espanol that I know of. Is this going to be a rude awakening like the one that, let's just see, who else had a horrible hometown performance recently? Regis Prograis in New Orleans. Looked like trash. Devin Haney, he looked fantastic in San Francisco. I think this is the latter, guys. I think Matias is going to do what Matias does. And if you have not seen Matias do what he does, Drew, he's a wrecking machine on the inside in the mid-range. He has these long arms, almost like, he's not tall like Fundora, but what he does on the inside is just shred you to pieces. So what chance do you realistically give Paro for an upset? What is the path to victory for Paro? Are they going to come up with any game plan to beat the undefeated Matias?
He's got to be on his P's and Q's. Like he has a chance and everything. Like, the only thing you can tell him, punch with him. You got to punch with him.
So you would advocate the guy engage toe-to-toe?
Tell you the truth right now, he's not a pure boxer. He's a guy that's gonna get in there and rough it out with you. You go to your strengths, and you rough it out with him. Like, you gotta look at it like this. when you go and you're going to fight a knockout artist, a guy that has all his wins by knockout, by the way. He's 20-1, 20 knockouts. You are expected to not engage often, to try to outbox him. Now, if I was Paro, I'll engage you. I will go punch with him. I'm bound to deliver shots to him, and I have to make sure mine hurt him as much as his will hurt mine, or even more. Because it's a battle of wills. And tell you the truth, Matias hasn't really been tested like that and everything. Paro, he needs to go punch with him. If he can punch with him and have success with him and everything, and like, you know,
take his power shots,
and they'll take a couple of power, or take one of Matias' big shots and then get a couple shots in at a time. That does it for him. But his only chance is punch with him, go like, and then when you get to the later rounds, if your team thinks you're losing, go for broke. If you have to, you're the guy that's not expected to get a decision in Puerto Rico. You're a big underdog. You're in this guy's home turf. You're most likely not gonna get a decision in Puerto Rico. You're gonna have to go for broke eventually.
So and that's why I think this fight, Drew, aside from David Benavidez coming up that we're going to talk about, I think this could be the best fight of the weekend because Paro is going to have no choice but to get in a dogfight. You're right about that. He's going to get suckered into a dogfight because that's what he knows best, and that's what got him that win against Montana Love. But against Matias, if Matias is what I think he is, he's stopping Paro.
He is. I'm going to be honest. I think it's going to be a knife round stoppage, but I think he's going to have moments. Paro's going to have his moments in this fight and everything. And when he has those moments, he's going to make the most of them. And it might be a thing for him that when he has that moment to go for broke and go for the knockout, and doesn't matter if you get counted at anything, you're going to take some shots, you're going to give some shots. And he's going to have to realize that. He's going to take some shots.
Yeah, this 140-pound division is stacked. I just seen Barboza Jr. has been going back and forth with Catterall. Catterall coming off that huge victory of former champion Josh Taylor. The division, any way you looked at it, is stacked, Drew. D-Style says he's seen Matias hurt before. He's been rocked. I know that I've heard about that. I don't recall seeing the tape on that. Anything can happen, man. Paro, if you got the right timing, Paro is a dog. He might get lucky. That's why this is a fight you must watch. If you don't have DAZN, guys, make sure you watch the highlights on Sunday. They should be available right here on YouTube. But I'm going to pick Matias on this one for the win by stoppage, late stoppage. And Drew, you're right, man. There's no way he's getting a decision. He ain't getting a decision in the hometown of Puerto Rico. So that brings us to the PBC card. Oh, my God, Drew, it's going to be hot as shit in Las Vegas. Guys, if you live in Las Vegas, if you're coming to Las Vegas, make sure you're staying hydrated. I myself am going to try to go out there Wednesday to see the live media workout. It's supposed to be 110 degrees, Drew. PBC, their second pay-per-view of the year with Amazon, Drew. The first one didn't go. The numbers didn't indicate it was a very big success. So on this one, they're bringing you two of their biggest stars on one card. $400 is the cheapest nosebleeds we're still going for. That's a lot of money, guys. That's for you and your girl. It's $850 with fees to be in the building if you could still find some. That is even a stretch for your boy. I myself will most likely be watching it at home and then heading out to the MGM later Saturday night to see who is popping, what's popping over there, Drew. On the co-main event, which really could be a main event, David Benavidez is moving up to light heavyweight for the first time in his career. He finally said, fuck waiting around for Canelo. I'm moving up. My body's probably going to feel better. and he's taking on a very dangerous former world champion, former light heavyweight champion. If you had never heard of Gvozdyk, Alexander Gvozdyk of Ukraine, go look up the YouTube fight he had with the great Adonis Stevenson. Superman Stevenson was once the most feared light heavyweight, Drew. He had the most vicious left-hand power. The guy fought until he was 41, and because of that, he paid dearly, going into a coma after fighting Gvozdyk. After getting knocked out by Alexander Gvozdyk, losing his title, he suffered serious brain damage, and it's a miracle that he's in the condition he is, has rebounded, because he was almost killed in that fight against the guy David Benavidez is fighting. He's 37 years old, but when you can box and you can punch that hard, this is really dangerous. You're in there with a guy that almost killed somebody else. Not only killed somebody else, a former champion that defended his title for years. Adonis Stevenson was a beast. Go see what he did to You remember the Tony Bellew fight? What Adonis Stevenson did to Tony? I mean, Gvozdyk is a dangerous opponent, Drew. I heard from Joe Habib that you are picking him to win this fight, and I need to understand. Let everybody know why you think he can pull off the upset. Again, 37 years old, coming off. He had a very long layoff, but he was on the Canelo Guadalajara card. He's been fighting. You just haven't been seeing him fight. But a big layoff. Drew, why does he get the upset this weekend?
Here's the thing with Gvozdyk. Gvozdyk can box his ass off. Terrific boxer. Power and everything with him. And, Gvozdyk, I think, will be too much. Like, footwork is going to be key in this fight and everything. I think Gvozdyk is an excellent counterpuncher. And if you look at it like this, David is too flat-footed of a fighter. If you look at it, he's going to face somebody. The issue with David is when he's going to meet someone eventually that has great footwork, that can box, that has power. This is the guy right here that can do both. Box and has great footwork and has power.
All right. I didn't mention who else he fought. And obviously, this was the biggest loss in his career. He did lose his title and lost that title to one of the reigning champs.
Benavidez, but he did look somewhat good against Benavidez.
Man, that was a good fight. I just was watching the highlights on that.
They fought in Philly, too.
They fought in Philadelphia, as a matter of fact. That's right.
So, I really think Gvozdyk is good. Like, here's the thing. He's going to be able to stay moving and everything. David he's going to be too flat-footed, and Gvozdyk's going to be able to counter him. And I think there's going to be shots that David doesn't see coming, and it's going to hurt him. I'm picking Gvozdyk, and I'm going to pick Gvozdyk by decision.
Well, I see our boy Sin City Syndicate was in here. If you are still in here and you have the latest odds, somebody was telling me, it was Joe Habib was saying, shout out to Calix Boxing, was saying if you bet on Gvozdyk for decision, you're going to win a pretty amount of money. But if you bet on Gvozdyk for a KO, 2,200 to 1, damn, or 2,200, it pays incredible. Like, if you're willing to put some money down, $100 on Gvozdyk by stoppage or even by decision, Drew, I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to put some money on the upset. I'm down to lose $100. I'm fine with that. I actually disagree, Drew, because he hasn't looked that great in the wins he has had. I was watching the fights in Guadalajara, and it's not the same guy that went toe-to-toe with Beterbiev or the guy that beat Adonis Stevenson for the WBC light heavyweight champion. He's 37 years old now. That long layoff has taken a lot of luster off of him. He is going to have to fight the fight of his life to get the nod in Las Vegas this weekend against the young superstar. But for once in his life, once in the career of David Benavidez, we're going to see him against someone his own size. He ain't going to be the weight bully. He ain't going to be the size bully. He's going to be against someone in the tail of the tape that matches him in every aspect. A former Olympian, medalist, a former world champion, someone who's been in that division for years, someone who's been in there with the very best, two of the very best light heavyweights ever in his generation, Adonis Stevenson and Beterbiev, still reigning champ. It's not going to be easy work for David Benavidez, Drew. And I think one of the things you pointed out that everybody's been arguing about is whether or not David Benavidez's footwork is going to be as comparable to the Ukrainian, the Ukrainian team, that whole Ukrainian team, including obviously Lomachenko, they're known to move exceptionally well. So you're thinking that's going to be the key to his victory for him to pull off the upset?
You gotta realize, people are saying that he beats Bivol. No, he does not beat Demetrius Bivol, Benavidez. You're headed up to a division with guys that can move, with guys that have power with that movement and everything, and excellent footwork and everything. Benavidez is eventually going to become a sitting duck. And he may be a sitting duck this weekend because Gvozdyk can move. And Gvozdyk has bang, power to his punches. All I'm saying is, Benavidez has to have better footwork in this division, or he's not going to have that much success in it.
Shout out to Wally Coyote, who says, bro, they take dance lessons. That's absolutely true. I think Usyk was on Mario Lopez and Steve Kim's podcast. There's like nothing he doesn't do that hasn't helped him. Everything from grappling to, Ukrainian dancing, both Lomachenko and him. They absolutely know how to move, and that's one of their keys to their success that they've had, not only in Olympic boxing but professionally. Drew, I have a hard time believing that David Benavidez's punch output is not going to give fits to Gvozdyk. They've also sparred; they know each other very well. Eddie Reynoso will be in the corner. Eddie Reynoso is going to be in the corner this weekend for Gvozdyk, which is interesting that a Ukrainian is being trained by Canelo Alvarez's team. I think that makes it very interesting.
But here's the thing, Dave. Volume, but here's the thing. What beats volume? Timing. You get a time. Here's the thing. That volume, all you gotta do is time it, dude, and he's gonna give you a pattern on what, like. If you look at it, that volume punchers and everything, volume punchers usually punch in the same patterns and everything. David Benavidez does the same thing. So what do? You time them. You see what punches are coming next, and then you go punch with them, and then you're going to counter them eventually, because when you punch, he's going to punch that one, the other punch to counter the shot with. And I look at it that he's going to be able to time Benavidez when the volume punches come. And if you look at it, at times when he fought Plant, his punch output was down a little bit. But when he started having success, his punch output was up there and everything with that Plant hurting everything. But there was times that Plant was able to keep his punch output at bay and everything. That was a smaller guy. Now you got a guy that, like, I think he's slightly bigger than Benavidez.
I think it's 6'3", easily 6'3", maybe a tad bit taller than that.
So,
right. Shout out to Nerd for correcting. I'm sorry, Drew. Nerd corrected me. Reynoso is the manager and not the trainer of Alexander Gvozdyk. But nonetheless, there's some vested interest there from the Reynoso camp, because if Canelo Alvarez does intend to fight David Benavidez at light heavyweight or ask him to come down, they're going to download all the data they need on David Benavidez in this fight this coming weekend. Also in the chat, a couple of you guys, UAE Sportsbook and Adi Medi, I'll be sharing their, they say Benavidez is a weight bully, but not at light heavyweight. And Adi Medi says Benavidez don't even look like he punches hard. It's because his opponents have always been smaller than him, that he looks like he does lots of damage. And, there's something to be said to that. He once weighed 240 pounds as a teenage high school kid, and he's typically fought and sparred against middleweight. You remember hearing about David Benavidez early in his career giving Kelly Pavlik work as a teenager. Kelly Pavlik was a middleweight. He's always fought smaller guys, even in sparring, So we will see, Drew. So Drew's take, some of you seem to be kind of sharing the feelings that Drew, finally for once, a weight bully is going to move up into the light heavyweight division and maybe not have the same shine he's had at super middleweight. I can remember fighters like, I can't compare David Benavidez to Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., but Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., as he moved up in weight, was truly a complete wash of himself. He was really only effective at middleweight. But David Benavidez, I'm not comparing him. I mean, the guy he's special. David Benavidez is special. I think he's going to pull away with this victory, guys, but I will be publicly, I'll make sure I get a picture or a video of it. I will be putting money on Gvozdyk for the upset because, man, who can resist making that kind? I mean, come on. Even a $20 bet will reward you for that. All right, we got Gvozdyk by unanimous decision. Addy Meddy says that. And let's move on to the main event, Drew, because I know it's getting late. I appreciate you being on the show. Drew's a little tired. Drew, guys, he works in the morning, so shout out to everybody that works in the morning, especially Drew's on the East Coast. The main event, Drew, I've seen Frank Martin fight twice at the Cosmopolitan. I don't know how I ended up with those fights. My friends were like, let's go see him. I seen him fight Michel Rivera. Michel Rivera's not who we thought he was going to be. People thought he was going to take over the lightweight division, 135. Nope. Seen him fight that European fighter. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Huders where that Olympic fighter. Remember, guys, Frank Martin came into boxing late. Frank Martin is a very gifted athlete. He trains with Errol Spence out of Dallas, Texas. Very gifted athlete to come into the sport late. But against somebody that's been fighting his whole life on the Olympic level, he was getting beat. He was getting outboxed, Drew. He was really frustrated. It was not until the end of that fight that he came on strong and showed some guts and showed some championship level spirit in him that, I mean, maybe I thought it was a draw. But I still feel like the European fighter won that night. But it's Las Vegas, guys. It's PBC. Obviously, the card was being presented by PBC. They're not giving the nod to the foreign fighter. And that put Frank Martin in a position to negotiate with Shakur Stevenson. He didn't want that fight. He ran from that fight. He ducked Shakur Stevenson. After seeing that he didn't have the success he thought he was going to have against an Olympic quality fighter, and Shakur Stevenson being a medalist himself, Drew, he said, man, if y'all can get me that Tank Davis fight for a big bag. Thank you for that like, guys. Don't forget to hit that like. If I can get that Gervonta Tank Davis bag, that's what I want. And now you got it. Saturday night, Frank Martin versus Gervonta Tank Davis. Does it go any other way? Does Drew smell an upset here?
No, it ends in 5.
5. Not unfathomable. Typically, Tank Davis is a slow starter. Even our Mexican fighter from Michoacan went more rounds than that, I believe. Leo Santa Cruz. Leo Santa Cruz thought he was getting fancy with it. Got very confident through 3 right hands in a row before Tank Davis countered him with the uppercut of all uppercuts and flattened Leo Santa Cruz. But this is a guy his own size. They've sparred together. Reportedly, there's tape out there. Y'all heard about it on YouTube. There's reportedly tape of Frank Martin hurting Tank Davis. Can he hurt him outside of sparring?
I think he's gonna knock Frank Martin out in 5 rounds.
5 rounds. All right, guys, in the chat, let me know how many rounds you think this is going. But you think actually if Frank Martin has a chance? I don't think he had a chance ever. I've seen him fight twice. And thank you so much, Addy, for correcting me. Yeah, Artem Haru. Yeah, I'm not going to remember. I can't say that name, but Artem, the guy can box, and that guy is a solid contender. He's worthy of fighting anybody. Honestly, he could fight Shakur Stevenson, and I wouldn't be surprised. He deserves a shot against that caliber of fighter. Frank Martin, guys, is going to get hurt. It's basically the same blueprint we've seen. Even I remember running into Raleigh Romero at the Cosmopolitan and telling, I got him to talk. All I had to tell him was, hey, Raleigh, you was winning that fight with Tank. And then I couldn't get Raleigh to shut up. It's the same thing. Oh, Frank Martin is going to win the early rounds. Tank Davis hasn't fought in over a year. It's been a while since I guess we've seen Frank Martin fight. I don't think the layoff has been quite as long. It's been longer for Tank. What was his most recent win over Ryan Garcia in a big pay-per-view? He's going to let Frank Martin win those early rounds. And then when Frank Martin starts getting carried away and admiring his work, Tank is just going to simply be waiting for what Drew loves to say, timing beats speed. Timing beats everything. He's going to get timed and he's going to get countered. And we're going to be treated this weekend to another highlight KO reel. The question is, what kind of KO is it going to be? Is it going to be those KOs where you
Frankie.
will you fall face first or you fall into the ring, what it's going to be. But I think it's going to be ultimately Frank Martin will be lucky to make the late rounds because that power is real and this isn't sparring and there's no headgear and there's no 16-ounce gloves. And he's going to get that big payday he wanted. And what's wrong with that? Addy Medi says uppercut KO. And man, can Tank Davis throw a nasty uppercut? One of the best.
Frankie's going to need Jesus at the end of the night.
And Remy says it's going to be round 7 through 9. Chicano Prophet says Martin is going to get wrecked. But really, who gives a shit? He asked for the big payday. And would you rather get humiliated in a bore fest, the kind that Shakur Stevenson does on national television when you like the Dominican fighter recently fought and you couldn't get anywhere near Shakur? And I mean, kind of makes sense to lose to Tank Davis. It's worked out great for everybody. Let's see who's gotten their ass beat by Tank Davis and gone on to do great things. Well, there's Rolly Romero, went on to win a title at 140 and still get paid.
And still get his ass kicked by, and still gets dominated and knocked the fuck out by a smaller guy, Isaac Cruz. Yeah.
Yeah. Ryan Garcia made $30 million reportedly. And he said, speaking of Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney, he said both of them have finally come to agreement on something on Twitter. They said, Oscar DAZN, where's our money? Why we haven't been paid yet?
Well, let's say who else Ryan has done. He claims he's the Messiah now. Drew, why the fuck do you say these things?
You don't need to say them, Drew. It's late in the night, guys. We appreciate everybody rocking with us. Yeah, we'll keep up with all the drama in the sport of boxing. I hope to do a second show this week. There is no Pro Box on Wednesday, but it is media week here, so there's going to be a lot of people descending in Las Vegas, and I hope to see you guys at the MGM Grand. If you're there, let me know. If you follow me on X or my Instagram, which is at shoeshine_boxing, let me know if you're coming for the big week. I should be there on Wednesday at the very least, and maybe Saturday post-fight to go check it out. Drew, any final thoughts on this? I mean, it was a great week in boxing from Wednesday to Friday to Blair the Flair to Danny Garcia. Shout out to him, guys. I'm not sure how you guys can watch this, but shout out to Danny Garcia, who, as Drew pointed out, he wants to be a promoter. Danny Garcia is making his dreams come true. He now is in the business of promoting.
Well, don't hit me up and asking me about the fights, about what you're going to ask Dave, because you tell me you're going to go. You're going to tell me you're going to go, I'm just going to say, good for you.
I heard that,
That's
man.
all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say in reply to you. Good for you.
All right, I appreciate it, everybody. I'm going to do my best here to stay hydrated in this nasty heat wave. If you're coming to Las Vegas, don't forget to hit me up and say hello, man. Until then, till the next show, I'm Dave in the 702, Philly Irish Drew Evo. We're out. Peace.